Hi, welcome back to Don't Lose Focus. I'm Brandon. We got other co-hosts here, Christian, and today we're talking about the US Saudi nuclear deal. It seems as though Trump is trying to bring Saudi Arabia into the Abraham Accords. I'm not right about that. I'm not wrong about that, right? He's trying to bring them into, or the deal is linked to it. Okay, I see. Hold on.
Well, the thing is, the issue with the deal is that the deal was made, and then later on, Trump tried to tie the deal to the Abraham Accords after the fact that it
Oh,
was already made.
okay. So for the Trump admin Saudi nuclear deal, there are a couple issues with it. You might be tempted to say, oh, well, isn't this similar to the Iran nuclear deal? Didn't Democrats like the Iran nuclear deal? Shouldn't they like this deal? Well, the issue is that the Iran nuclear deal happened because we already knew that Iran possessed the ability to enrich fissile material to potentially either A, make a reactor, or more pertinent to national or global security, was to make a weapon. For Saudi Arabia, though, they don't have a nuclear program. So there is no reason really to strike a deal with them unless they wanted to use it solely for energy purposes, so peaceful purposes. Iran, on the other hand, was in the sense of nuclear or stopping nuclear proliferation, they were kind of a rogue state because they had a nuclear program that we couldn't tame. So we had to, it made sense for us to strike a deal to make sure that we could monitor them and that they were only going to be using their nuclear technology for peace and for energy and not, to try to make nuclear weapons to destroy a state that which they don't like, which is Israel, when they've said that, many times throughout the years. So this nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia, though, the reason why it is a little bit, not a little bit, but it is dicey, is that essentially we struck a deal with them. We would be exporting a lot of our nuclear technology. And with that nuclear technology comes the capability of enrichment. And if you're able to enrich past a certain amount, usually the 3 to 5% range for enrichment on fissile material is the required range for energy. But past that, it starts to get into territories of, okay, well, it looks like you're using this for more nefarious purposes or for weaponry, which I think it's in everyone's best interest for, if you're under the NATO umbrella, for the NATO countries, especially the US, to have these weapons and not any other state. They absolutely don't need them. So this deal, though, does not seem to have the same safeguards that the Iran nuclear deal had for investigating these sites if we were to give Saudi Arabia nuclear technology, which is it's very worrisome.
Yeah, it is very worrisome, especially because it does not meet the gold standard that Republicans have hammered on for so long about nuclear power, and especially Iran. They want the United States or the UN to be able to inspect their facilities to make sure that they are actually using these nuclear facilities for just power usage and not trying to create nuclear bombs. It increases the likelihood of movement of like this enriched material to surrounding areas or likelihood that this technology gets stolen, which is not a good risk to have in this region. And especially with the whole point of like the US being one of the nuclear powers, if we try to limit nuclear powers to as little states as possible, as a little side tangent, you got to be really feeling really fucked over as the state of Ukraine for, getting rid of your nuclear weapons in, what was it, 99, giving them back to Russia. Then you're seeing all this shit go down now. You're like, man, I really wish I had my nuclear bomb up still. Anyway, besides the point, this nuclear deal does not meet any standards that Republicans have been trying to hold for nuclear power. And also Trump trying to, after the deal has already been made, him trying to tie this deal to the Abraham Accords is just like, it just really just makes no sense for him to try to tie this deal that was already made to the Abraham Accords. There's a leak a while ago about diplomats saying to the Iranian diplomats, yeah, just ignore everything Trump says on social media because it's not real. It's just, he's just doing that to like pump up his base. You can ignore that. What we're doing here is real. And it's like, I don't know what else to say besides like our president is such a joke that he's just trying to tie this shit to the Abraham Accords.
Yeah, it's the way for him to look like he's got another victory. Another thing I want to add too is that one of the issues with giving Saudi Arabia this technology and not having a good path to monitoring them is if they do take a weaponization path, Saudi leaders have already said that they will pursue a weaponization path if the Iranians do. And because of that, we are looking at a potentially dangerous tit for tat scaling up of weaponization of nuclear weapons in the Middle East. Because remember, the Gulf states, which Saudi Arabia is a Gulf state, they have a very on and off tumultuous relationship with Iran. So I don't think it makes sense for us to give technology over unless we are strictly doing it for energy purposes, and we have a very good monitoring system on Saudi Arabia and all of their nuclear, advancements. If we don't have that in place, I just think that we're in a really dangerous spot, and the whole Middle East will be in a very dangerous spot because these relationships they're not steady. There's a lot of tension, especially right now, right, with the U.S.-Iran war. So I think this was not a very good idea.
The reason why Saudi Arabia didn't sign onto the Abraham Accords in the first term of Trump was because of the fact that one of their key things for Israel-Palestine is a recognition of a Palestinian state by the Israeli government. And since the Abraham Accords didn't do that, they were not willing to sign up onto it. And that leads us to today, where Saudi Arabia still hasn't made a comment about Trump trying to tie the Abraham Accords to this nuclear deal that's going on. I'm not really sure what that really means about the deal, because it is a deal that was made, like it was signed, and I don't know if Congress is going to try to tie that into their agreements with the Saudi government. But the deal as it has been signed and made was just about nuclear proliferation, and not necessarily anything to do with Israel or anything like that. Again, Congress could potentially tie something into the deal, but the deal was not made with the Abraham Accords being tied to it. And we still have not received any reporting about what the Saudi government has said about this Trump tie-on.
Yeah, it just seems like very odd deal. I don't really know why we would want to give. If we're concerned about nuclear proliferation, I don't understand why we're trying to give states that have shaky relationships with other states around them and have already said they could fall down a weaponization path if Iran seeks a weaponization path, why we were trying to push more of that technology around the world. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Without, I'm all for peaceful nuclear energy, but it needs to be very strict set of policies where we go investigate the nuclear programs of the states we're giving technology to. Nuclear weapons should be, or nuclear technology in general, should be seen as, pretty much the most. I mean this is no exaggeration that humans being able to have nuclear weapons is something similar to, like, it's almost like a godlike power. We should treat it with that kind of reverence and with the respect that it deserves, and not, just give it to anybody just because we think that it might make us look good, or we could like push them into signing on to some agreement of ours. I just don't think that's a smart idea.
Well, he's the deal maker in chief, so get used to it. I don't know.
Yeah. He is the deal maker in chief. Our deal maker in chief should get a deal going with the U.S. With Iran right now. That's what I'm waiting on. Talk about like peacefulness around the world. Let's get this war over with.
Why are we trying to focus? Why is he making a deal about why is he making a deal with Saudi Arabia when we're still not? What are we on our fucking 60th ceasefire with Iran?
Yep, every weekend is a new one.
Oh.
So
every weekend is a new one, and it's funny how the U.S. is the one to break it every time.
Yep, actually today Trump made a statement saying we are low-keying it with Iran. So whatever that means. I don't know how to. I don't know what he means by that, but we'll see, I guess.
At least he's not saying we're going to bomb the civilization out of existence anymore. At least it's just...
That's true. Yeah, he's backed up on that one at least. That's good.
The only reason this happened was because of Iran. And I guess this is just a quick update on that story, because he's just trying to look for wins anywhere. And considering the leniency he gave this agreement, he's looking for things to point to as like, look, I'm good in the Middle East. I got Saudi Arabia to agree to a nuclear deal with us, even though like it's a shitty deal. But Trump's known for shitty deals, so what can you really say?
Yeah, there's nothing much to say. That's our deal maker.